Welcome to the CrossFit Max podcast.
So you've been going to your CrossFit Max classes and you've been lifting some weights. You've either been wanting to lift more or you've been hitting some amazing new personal records. In this episode, we're going to talk about personal experiences with wanting to hit some new PRs, what it takes to get stronger, and how your mindset should be when approaching weightlifting. We hope you enjoy this episode, and if you don't mind leaving us a rating and a review, it helps get this podcast out to some new people. All right, on to the episode. Enough horsing around, love. That's not the terminology, is it?
Yeah, I think it is, but it's still funny coming out of your mouth.
Yeah, let's do this. We are time limited here. The people want to hear a good podcast.
I hope you came up with a banter topic.
The banter topic for today
is...
What did you eat?
Oh my God, don't
for
ask
breakfast?
me that. I hate when you do this. So just to let the podcast people know, every single time we record the podcast, we have to test the sound to make sure it sounds good. And the test question Brandon always asks me is, what did I eat for breakfast?
So tell them, what did you eat for breakfast?
I had 2 scrambled eggs.
Whoa, let's go.
And a piece of toast.
Nice.
That was it.
Well,
Oh, I had some strawberries too.
damn.
Yeah.
That's well balanced. You got some protein, fats, and carbs in there.
Yeah.
Were you
so
satisfied with that meal?
I was.
Nice.
I love Thursdays because I sleep in and
Yeah.
then I walk back for like an hour and then I eat breakfast. So by the time I eat breakfast, I'm hungry, but I also am not rushed.
Wow. Thursdays are pretty
It's
great.
amazing.
I like Thursdays too.
Every day should be Thursday. Well, Thursday morning, I mean.
Thursday's a little bit more of a relaxed day for me as well. I only coach 2 classes. We do the podcast.
I also coach 2 classes. Well, today I have 3.
Well, you have 2 classes and you have a free trial.
Yes.
So that's pretty cool. Someone new is trying the gym tonight. We had 3 people yesterday try the gym. No, 4 people yesterday try the gym.
4.
Which is epic. So, yeah. Hey, the gym is booming.
How many massages did we have today? 3 already.
3 massages. Mel did 3 massages. That's great.
She's killing it.
She's killing it. The gym is
Book your
thriving,
massages,
people. Wow.
Did we just say people at the same time?
Yeah. Yeah. The gym is thriving. 1 year.
What did you have for breakfast?
Oh, we're going back there. All right. What did I eat for breakfast? I had a pretty basic breakfast as well. I had a piece of bacon.
You're very basic. You have the same breakfast every day.
Pretty much. Switched it up a little bit today, though.
Ooh, I know why.
Just because I actually didn't eat like right away when waking up. But anyways, had my collagen in my coffee this morning.
I did too, by the way.
Then I had, good girl. Then I had 1 piece of bacon with 2 full eggs and about 2/3 cup egg whites added in there.
Mm-hmm.
And then I had 2 kiwis.
Sun Gold
Those
kiwis.
Sun Gold kiwis from Costco. Yummy. And I had an RX bar.
Wait, what?
Yeah. But I had the RX bar like kind of 20 minutes later. I was
You
not
weren't satisfied.
Yeah. Like when I woke up this morning, I was doing some fantasy football stuff, the real important things in life.
That's why you're so concentrated on your laptop.
But yeah, so I kind of ate breakfast relatively later after waking up. So normally
I feel
on
like you always
Thursdays.
do that on Thursdays.
Nah, last Thursday I had a lunch before even coming to the gym, but yeah. Yeah, usually like I'll eat breakfast and have something small before coming to the gym, but this time it was kind of like, it was almost 9:30, 10 o'clock.
You ate too late.
Yeah, I got sucked in to my laptop.
Your fantasy football team.
Yeah. Yeah. Hey, football's around the corner.
I'm excited. I actually love football season.
Yeah. So do
Not for the football, but it means every Sunday you just want to be a lazy bum on the couch all day, and I'm here for it.
Football. Yeah.
And sometimes we hang out with other friends and we all watch football, aka I hang out with the girlfriends while you and the boys watch football, and that also brings me joy.
Yeah.
So football season is also my favorite time of year.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, I'm looking forward to it. All right, let's get into today's topic. Enough of the banter stuff. That was on the spot.
But we were talking before I interrupted you about your breakfast, we were talking about something else. What were you saying?
Completely forget. Oh, the gym's been thriving.
Oh yeah, we're busy.
Yeah.
Book your massages, people.
Yeah. It's cool.
I feel like this intro is giving me a headache.
Hey, well, I mean, it's kind of that time of year
I'm
where
Susie, by the way, and that's Brandon.
we're kind of at that time where it's end of August. People are coming back from vacation. Kids are going back to school. So I feel like our gym is back to its normal schedule where
Not quite. I feel like give us 2 weeks and we'll be back.
yeah, but it's starting to lead more towards that.
Yeah, which
The
is
summer
exciting.
is always up and down. People in the evening are coming in the morning. People in the morning are coming in the evening.
I feel like it was also a little stressful because people were going on vacation a lot. So the predictability of the business was not so much there. So I'm looking forward to the routine coming back.
Yeah, I love the summer, but I'm looking forward to the fall for our business.
Fall is better for business. Summer is better for lifestyle.
Yeah, 100%. But yeah. Anyways, enough of the banter stuff. All exciting things at CrossFit Max. But today,
What are we talking about, baby?
we are talking about making serious gains. Not just serious gains, but making progress and work and what it takes to get to that progress. If that makes sense. Does that make sense? Did
Yeah, I
clear
feel
that
like
up?
what you're
I feel like-
trying to say.
Yeah, I feel like I just say things and Susie really clears things up. That's part of my
I
brain
feel
is
like
in
what
scramble.
You're trying to say is the
What-
point of today's discussion is to talk about the process of achieving goals.
Yep. And I guess like where it stems from is a post that I just put up on Instagram today.
Yes.
And that's about my
Your
personal
quads looked amazing.
my personal journey over the last 6-ish months in terms of strength training. Like I've said many times in the podcast before, one of my main goals over the years has been to put on weight and also to get stronger, specifically in my
thighs.
thicker thighs, to put
Booty
on some weight in the lower body,
gains.
and to lift some heavier weights along the journey here.
Right.
So last week we had test week at CrossFit Max. We were finalizing our 12-week cycle, and one of the main strength piece was front squats. We put in a solid amount of work on the front squats, and I was able to, on week 12 of the progression, to hit a 5-pound PR.
Woo.
Oh yeah.
The crowd went wild.
And back in February is when I tested that 1RM. So I tested it
Prior, like you're the first time you tested.
The last time I hit a PR, personal record, was beginning of February of this year, 2023, and I hit 305 pounds. And then it took me all the way until beginning of August, middle of August, to hit a 5-pound PR. And
So you hit 310.
So I hit 310. Tried
Yeah, baby.
Tried for 315. That's my ultimate goal, is to be able to front squat 3 plates on each side.
Yeah.
Was unsuccessful. That barbell crushed me in the bottom. It was on the way down and kept going down all the way to the ground. But just from like personal experiences, you have to work so hard
Yeah.
for 6 months
To get 5 pounds.
to get 5 pounds on the bar. And it was
Meanwhile, tons of our members hit like 30, 40 pound PRs.
yeah. And that's kind of, I guess, one of the topics of discussion today is the difference between being like a newer CrossFitter or newer into the weight training side of things versus being a vet in the CrossFit world.
Yeah, I think once you're more established, the time it takes to PR in a movement is significantly longer, and the effort required to get there is significantly higher versus when you first start, you're PRing like every week. Like every time you pick up the bar, it's better than the last time. And that's such a fun time in CrossFit, but it doesn't last forever.
Well, hopefully it lasts forever, but the time domain starts to change a little bit.
No, but I mean every
every
single time you come into the gym, you're PRing.
Yeah.
That doesn't last forever, but it is.
Yeah.
At the beginning, when you're learning how to front squat, empty bar is a PR, and then 45 pounds is a PR.
Yeah.
You know, so building on your front squat, almost every time you're training, it's going to be a record of some kind because you're still learning. You're still in the like very early days versus when you're hitting 305 and it's taking you 6 months to get there, and then it's another 6 months to get 310. It's because your plateaus are longer at this. level.
Exactly. Yeah. And I would say the difficulty and the challenge that is required to hit that PR, that heavier lift, is just harder overall.
Like that 5 pounds is equivalent in value as someone else's 40-pound PR if they're just starting.
Yeah. So although we did like a 12-week progression, it took me 6 months of like really hard training. And when I say really hard training, I have pretty much consistently worked out 6 times a week.
Oh, yeah.
For the last 6 months. I have put in a really big emphasis on my strength training. So maybe that's something we can talk about right away, is that when you do your strength training, understanding what is challenging for you is going to be different from person to person. But if you really, really want to see progress in terms of strength training, and especially the further you are in the game, the longer you've been doing this,
right,
you need to challenge yourself and you need to push your limits quite hard. And
you got to get uncomfortable.
You got to get uncomfortable, and you have to build a strength adaptation by lifting higher percentages. If I were to do a 225-pound front squat, yeah, it's going to be hard, I guess, quote unquote, but it's not really going to be a suitable challenge for my body to start developing like a strength adaptation. It's nowhere close to my 1RM or my 1 rep max, I should say. I'm not sure if people, maybe I'll say the actual words. But yeah, so you got to lift higher percentages and you got to really challenge your body. And what I mean by that is you got to, when you're lifting, you got to put yourself in super uncomfortable positions. You got to get into the ranges of motion without cutting corners.
Yep.
And you have to consistently do that throughout not just weeks, but months. And you got to do that over and over and over again. And like I said, it took me 6 months of hard training to get 5 pounds heavier on the bar.
Right.
And there's ups and downs throughout the process. I hit a 310 PR, but 2 weeks prior to that, I failed 300 pounds during one of my strength pieces.
Right. And probably you failed at 300 pounds because you had been challenging yourself so much within the other sets that you were extremely fatigued.
Yeah.
It's not that you got less strong. It's that you were putting yourself under so much physical stress, not like mental stress. I just mean you were putting yourself under stress. You were working those muscles to their limit in order to get stronger overall.
Yeah.
So numerically, it looked like a bad day on squats because you weren't able to hit a number you already knew how to hit. But really, the overall weight that you had probably lifted in that session was pushing your boundaries.
Yep. 100%.
Makes sense.
Yep. And that could be, so I got to experience this from like a personal side of me training, but I also get to experience this through all of the members because I coach them.
Correct.
And that day was super cool. We even put out a reel on our Instagram page. I think we had 30-something people, 30-plus people hit a PR that day.
Right.
There was also many people that couldn't train on that specific day that hit PRs along the journey. And then there was, I think, only one person that didn't hit a PR that day. And that's just simply because
his goals have shifted.
You know,
his old PR was set a long time ago.
Yeah, he still has an over 300-pound front squat, but he's been trying to lose a little bit of weight. He hasn't been putting an emphasis on his strength training. He's been putting it more on his conditioning pieces.
Right.
So he didn't hit a PR.
And he wasn't expecting to hit a PR.
Exactly. What was your experience like throughout the training cycle?
Well,
from your personal...
My personal experience was...
What'd you start with?
I started at 160.
Yeah. What'd you finish with?
170.
Okay, so you hit a 10-pound PR along those 12 weeks?
Yeah. I actually hit 170 in week 11. So I peaked before the peak.
Oh, we should talk about this. Well, we've had...
And then I was pissed.
We've had discussions.
I was
actually,
salty.
This is a pretty good podcast. You should listen to this podcast after because this will be a good one for you. Well, Susie and I had discussions on this, but so in leading up to it, the last couple weeks, we challenged our body with heavy singles.
Correct.
So we didn't build to a 1 rep max until our final week. And what I was talking about before about challenging yourself with high percentages, when you see like a 5x1, which we did the week before, you should challenge yourself with really heavy percentages, meaning like 95 to 98% of your 1 rep max. And you should challenge yourself under those loads. What Susie did is Susie ended up hitting a PR on the final set. She ended up feeling really good that day, and she went for 170, and so that's pushing beyond 100%. That was like 100 and let's say 2%, whatever the math is.
So like week 4, I hit 165. So I started at 160. Yeah. And then like about 4 or 5 weeks in, I can't remember, I was able to hit 165. Yeah. And then throughout the training, we were doing like heavy 2s and heavy 3s, and I was able to hit 160 for 2 and for 3 reps even. And so I could see visibly my improvement as I was going. Yeah. So on that 11th week where we had 5x1, 160 was no longer really like an accurate representation of my 1 rep max, that I had been doing that weight throughout the weeks. Yep. And so I did that as like, I think my first set of those 5x1s. And I hit that weight twice, and then I did 165 twice, and I was feeling good. So I was like, well, let's try 170.
And you hit it.
And I hit it.
It's amazing.
And that was really awesome. And that was like a super big high. Did my little happy dance. It was a good fun moment for me, but then it was really frustrating the week after while everyone else is PRing and I wasn't.
The week after, what maybe the listeners should note is that when you test, there's difference between testing and training. Right. When you train, you're putting your body under high stresses. When you're testing, you're not trying to do that. What you're trying to do is you're trying to truly give yourself the opportunity to lift the heaviest load
like
possible.
Warm up properly but conserve energy kind of thing. Yeah.
So if you go do a test, you're not going to do a test that you've already completed. So when you do the test, Susie was never going to lift 170 pounds because she knew physically her body did that the week before.
Right.
So she did probably like 160, 165.
I did 165.
165. And then when you go and test, there's no need to test to match your PR.
Right, because that's not an accomplishment at that point.
Exactly.
It's just, now fatiguing myself for no reason.
Exactly. You're pushing your limits. You're going at 100% for no reason at that point. So Susie went for 175 and couldn't hit it. And then she was, like she said, pretty angry about it. And I was like,
so salty because also because I feel like it was really close. Like I tried it twice and I was failing on the way up. So I felt like I'm really close. Like I was definitely failing it. I didn't have it in me. It's not like I wasn't trying hard enough. But it's frustrating when it feels so close but so far away at the same time. And then the other element that's frustrating is that every freaking person was PRing that day and everyone's like hyped and I'm like, I want my dance party.
Yeah. So of the 4 people that didn't PR out of like the almost 40 people that attended the classes that day, like I said, one of the persons, his goals have completely changed. So he didn't PR. The other 3 people PR'd
during
the cycle, Susie being one of them. So Susie PR'd 7 days prior to that.
I did.
And to me,
it's just not realistic to expect to PR 7 days later. Yeah. We worked 12 weeks to hit a PR, so I know that I know logically it shouldn't have been a PR, but emotionally I wanted it.
And not only did she just like hit a PR, a personal record, but she hit 2 personal records along
throughout
the way.
The cycle. Yes.
Yeah, so she hit 165 and then she hit 170 and was, like she said, really close to 175.
Yeah.
So going back to my previous statement before is that I spent 6 months trying to hit a 5-pound PR, and I was successful at hitting a 5-pound PR. I went for the 315. Like I said, didn't hit it. But that process of being super disciplined and training so hard for 6 months straight, for not just training consistently and not just like simply like showing up and doing the workout and checking off the box,
correct,
but pushing myself in the strength components and pushing my muscles to failure, like literally going to a point where my body can't push a weight during the training cycle. Like those things are important for you to build like the proper strength adaptation. And then also you add on like trying to like just overall lifestyle. Like I've been eating super well the last 6 months. I've actually dropped a few pounds like I wanted to. So all these factors of me training so freaking hard for 6 months to hit a 5-pound PR, and then you have little Miss Susie over here who hits a double PR in a 12-week cycle and then gets upset that she doesn't hit a third PR. It's definitely interesting.
What's interesting is I am now entering the phase of my CrossFit journey where, like you, PRs are gonna be fewer and further between, just because I have sort of reached a certain level. Like I would say I'm no longer beginner intermediate. I'm like intermediate advanced, let's say.
For sure. Yeah.
I'm still very intermediate in my CrossFit journey, and there's always room for improvement. I'm not saying like this is it, I'm done PRing for the rest of my life. That's not at all what I'm saying.
Nope.
It's just that when we opened CrossFit Max a year ago, I hadn't been doing CrossFit for the last 2 years because I didn't train CrossFit during the pandemic. I was strictly running, and prior to that I had done CrossFit for maybe 2 years, and so I had exposure, I had familiarity, but I hadn't necessarily tapped into my potential yet in terms of my strength training. And so in the last year, I have improved substantially in almost every lift. I'm just talking strictly on the weight lifting side of things. I mean, I've improved in a lot of things, but just speaking about literal numbers of like strength, I've improved so much. And in the first 6 months of being at CrossFit Max and training 5 days a week and being very CrossFit focused in my fitness, I saw rapid improvement. If I scroll back to my front squats of when we were open, I was hitting like 105, 115. Now we're talking about 170. That's a major difference. So I'm used to, psychologically, PRing often.
Yeah.
And so now that I've started to hit some high numbers for myself and the PRs are a little bit more spread out and I have to really be aggressive in my training in order to reach them, psychologically, I find it challenging because I'm like, and I'm supposed to just get a PR every time I come to the gym. Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
And so that's sort of like I'm entering that intermediate advanced level, let's say, of CrossFit where it's just not a reality. It's not, you can't PR by 10 pounds every week. It's ridiculous. I'd have a 400-pound front squat. I'd be giving Sheldon a run for his money soon. It's just not realistic. And so I'm just having to come to terms with that.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess like the time frame starts to get lengthened a little bit and slowly, but I would argue that you're still in the beginner phase. You PR twice in 12 weeks, but definitely, like you're saying, you're not doing it every single week.
Yeah. Well, I guess because I'm from a vantage point where we do have a lot of beginners in our mix, and they went from empty bar front squats to like 130 pounds.
Which is cool.
And so that's wild and so exciting. It is so fun to coach and to watch and to participate in classes with people who are hitting these insane PRs. Like I remember vividly some of our members not even be able to get into a full squat in a front rack position with an empty bar who are now hitting like triple digits, 300 pounds, 110 pounds. It's really, 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 really cool to watch. And I guess you think that about, like, that's your perception of me. And then my perception is like seeing that. You know what I mean? Like,
that's my perception on every single member that comes to the gym.
Yeah.
There's not many members that have been doing CrossFit as long as I have, but there have every single I mean,
you
it's
hear
also
that,
really
guys?
cool.
Brandon is better than all of us.
No, don't say that.
Well, technically speaking, you kind of are.
Nah, there's definitely some fitter people in the class than I am.
Oh, there are fitter people, but you're still the best.
Yeah. So, I mean, you got like something that maybe like our listeners can consider is that the more time that they put into this, the more hard work that is going to be required and the longer things are going to take. Something that I learned was that along the journey, you have to enjoy the process way more than if you just constantly think about hitting the PR.
Yeah, you can't get too attached to the outcome, and you have to enjoy the active training, the active pushing yourself, the act of getting out of your comfort zone and improving maybe in your position or improving in other aspects minus just the numbers that you see.
Yep.
I fall victim of this. I see the numbers and I get down on myself thinking, why am I not PRing every week? But
you got to enjoy the journey.
It's a process.
Yeah. You got to enjoy the journey. You got to enjoy the process, the grind, the hard work that's involved. And then once you get to the destination, then earn it.
When you do get that 5-pound PR after chasing it for 6 months, it's so much sweeter maybe than PRing every week, because it's like if you had your birthday every week, it would get old. Literally. But
Pun
I'm just
intended.
saying, you would be sick of being celebrated all the time. But since it happens only once a year, you appreciate it.
Yeah. Oh, and the other thing I wanted to add is that you should ask yourself, how long are you willing to work towards that goal? Because it's important. To me, I didn't put like a timetable on it. Some people put timetables on it. We do 12-week cycles. So you could look at it, okay, like I want to be able to PR in a 12-week cycle. The gym could help you out on that. But for me, this is a much longer process. I wanted to PR by 5 pounds, but really like my ultimate goal is to get to that 315. I'm not quite there yet, but I'm not putting a time on it. I'm willing to grind it out every single session. But some people, it's very rewarding if you say, hey, like I've got it in the tank to do this for this long. So that's something that people could also maybe add to their routine, is like, hey, I'm going to work really hard for the next 12 weeks in this category.
Yeah, I feel like if you have like a numerical goal in mind, it definitely adds fuel to your fire and gives you something to work towards.
Yeah. And then the other thing I'll add on to this, especially for new beginner to intermediate athletes, as I see this in group class all the time, is if you truly want to lift a heavier weight at the end.
Yes, I know where you're going with this.
You have to push the higher percentages. When we do the working sets, we talk about, okay, we're doing 4 sets of 3 reps, and I'll give the class 20 minutes to do this. And then after like 11 minutes,
they're done.
Someone's like, yeah, I'm done. I'm like, how are you done? Well, I did 4 sets, 3 reps. Like I'm done. Well, you don't look like you're done right now. You look like you're standing and you're doing just fine and you're not breathing heavy and you're
barely sweating.
You're barely sweating right now. Well, what was the weight that you did for your last set? Oh, well, it was hard. I did 110 pounds. Okay, what was the weight you did for the first set? 55 pounds. That is an unacceptable starting working set compared to your last set.
Right.
So you need to challenge yourself throughout all of the working sets to really, like I said before, get that strength adaptation.
Yeah, and just to build off of what you were just saying, it's not also just making sure that all the sets are challenging. It's not just starting, let's say you're working up to 110 pounds on your last set, to build off the example you gave, instead of not starting at 55 pounds, trying to start at like 90 pounds, let's say. It's not just that. Is that 90 pounds and is that 110 pounds actually super challenging, or is it just like a little uncomfy? I think that some people, without making this sound super mean, are soft. So they think that it's super challenging, but actually they probably have more in their tank. They're just timid to put the weight on the bar and to give it a go. And maybe this is just a moment of reflection. If you're hearing this podcast and you feel like that might be you, the worst thing that happens is it's too heavy and you have to go back down. Yeah. That's the worst thing that happens. Yeah. There's no bad outcome if you try and push yourself and decide, oh, actually, whoop, I went too far, strip a little bit of weight off and try again at a weight that's more feasible. Yeah. But if you're just a little bit uncomfortable, but you're not like struggling, or you're not gassing, you're not sweating and breathing heavy or pushing your limits, if your goal is to get stronger, you need to get past the uncomfy zone and get into the extreme discomfort zone.
Some people, or some of the listeners, what you can do is next strength piece, if you know what your finishing set is, let's say you have a 4x3 or whatever that is, if you know what your finishing weight is going to be and it's going to be really hard for you, let's say use that 110 for example, like 110 is freaking hard for you, try to do all sets at 110, not your last set, but challenge yourself to do all sets at that finishing weight. Count all the sets that you did before that as ramp up sets that are priming your body. Yeah. That when you get to that really challenging weight, see if you can do all your working sets at that weight. And then when you're finished, you will definitely feel a huge difference at the end here.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Absolutely. Mic drop.
Mic
Killed
drop.
it.
Boom.
That's it. We're done.
Hit that. Speaking about killing it, let's talk about our client of the week.
Pew, 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 pew.
Someone who has been not just smashing, or not only killed last week's test week, but has been killing every single day in the gym. She's been super consistent for several weeks now, even months now. She hit an amazing PR last week on her front squat, and that person is Maria. Maria has been super fun to coach.
I love coaching
her. She hit 180 pounds on her front squat.
After she hit it on her third attempt.
Yeah. So she failed it
twice.
Failed it twice. And then put that bar back on the rack and said, no, I'm going to hit this. And I really love that video that we have together. But it's just essentially me just telling her, like, keep your elbows as high as you can and your legs will be able to squat that bar. And man, did she grind through that third attempt and hit 180. So
she was not taking no for an answer on that barbell.
And it was at 6 o'clock in the morning.
Beast.
She's one of those clients that come at 6 a.m. one day, 5 p.m. So
she's killing it. She also got her kipping pull-ups recently.
So in the open back in March, there was the burpee pull-up. And
she got stuck.
She couldn't even, I don't think she could do one.
She did one rep and that was it. So she got stuck.
So essentially she could do like one jumping pull-up, which is far easier than a pull-up. And last week, one of our tests was the pull-up test, and she was able to get 8 kipping pull-ups, I think.
Yeah. But throughout this whole cycle, we had been working on kipping pull-ups for 12 weeks. Yeah. And every week she was getting a little bit closer, but she was still getting really frustrated. And it was a lot of time. I did a lot of like physical, like assisting her to help guide her body in the gymnastics of the movement. And we worked on it so much. And then I don't know what happened. It just finally, boop, unlocked. Yeah. And she just did literally 8 reps in a row. Yeah. Which is just wild. She went from 0 months ago and then to even barely 1 or 2 at a time to 8 in a matter of just a couple of weeks.
It's crazy.
It was very impressive, and she's been very determined.
She's been consistent. She's training minimum 5 times per week.
She's extremely coachable too. She fully locks into what you're saying, asks for feedback, applies the feedback that you give her immediately, asks for follow-up feedback. So much fun. Whenever I see that I'm coaching her, I get really excited because she's so fun. Yeah, she's coming at 5 p.m. I can't wait.
Yeah. So thank you, Maria, for being such an awesome client. Keep killing it in the workout.
Love.
And yeah, hopefully you guys enjoyed this podcast.
The point of today's episode is really keep chasing those PRs. Yeah. You're going to get them, and just, I don't know, keep your head down, keep focusing on quality movements and all of the behaviors that lead to the outcome, and try not to fixate too much on the number.
Yeah. And I'll add one last thing is that there's nothing wrong with just showing up to the gym and checking off the box.
100%.
That is super amazing for your health. You know, you don't have to push your limits all the time, but in terms of like performance stuff, if you have performance goals to hit heavier weight, or that could even be a conditioning piece. I want to run a 5K faster. Right. And you have to push your limits a little bit more.
Your value as a human being is not reflective of how much weight you put on your barbell, but it is reflective of your determination and your ability to show up and all of those types of things.
So we'll leave it there.
Keep up the good work, team.
We'll catch you guys next week.
Keep hitting those PRs. Keep coming to the gym. Keep having fun.
Let's get this new 12-week cycle started.
Ooh.
Lots of fun stuff we'll talk about in the podcast over the next few weeks.
All right, team.
All right.
See you next week.
See ya.
Bye.